Hi everyone, today I have a really special and truly unique video for you. I'm interviewing 4 of the most known and knowledgeable smartphone filmmakers in the world, and particularly on YouTube. They include Simon Horrock from the Simon Horrock's YouTube channel, Blake Calhoun from the iPhoneographer's YouTube channel, Benett Graezer from the Benett Graezer YouTube channel, and Ryan Camp from Camp Films YouTube channel. And if that's not enough, I have an interview as well with Susie Botello where she talks to you about how she came up with her film festival idea, how it's running, how to enter it, and also a little inspiration for you as well to make your own films and start entering into film festivals. As this video is to celebrate the Smartphone Filmmaker YouTube channel passing the 10,000 subscribers thanks to you, the viewers and subscribers, I have a phenomenal giveaway for one lucky person to win. Now the prizes included are a 1 to 5 stop variable ND filter by Freewell and a phone case to go with it, a phenomenal 1-year subscription for free to the Previs Pro storyboarding app available on all iOS devices, which is absolutely incredible and the most advanced storyboarding app out there, which I've used for the last short film I made. And if that isn't enough, a $250 voucher by Moment for their store for you to buy any accessories that you need for your smartphone filmmaking needs. Now you can only enter this competition by answering the following questions to smartphonefilmmakerrob@gmail.com. Any other ways of entering, i.e. via the comments, will not be read, will not be counted. Question number 1 is what film Blake Calhoun of the iPhoneographer's YouTube channel would like to remake with a smartphone? Question number 2 is what year was Tangerine made, which is mentioned by Simon Horrock? And question number 3, the final question, is which accessory would Benett Graezer like to see upgraded and made more advanced?
Hey Rob, congratulations again on reaching 10,000 subscribers. That's a huge milestone, and thanks for having me. So I got into smartphone filmmaking because of its convenience. As a filmmaker, I didn't want to carry around bulky equipment all the time. And the smartphone became sort of a natural tool because it's always with me. And over time, I realized that with the right approach, you can get amazing results even with something as small as a phone. And I think many people still don't realize that they feel like they need the latest and greatest gear to produce high quality videos. But it's really about how you use what you have.
Hi Rob, thank you for inviting me to take part in this celebration of your 10,000 subscriber mark on your channel. Massive congratulations, you've done a fantastic job there providing essential tutorials for smartphone filmmaking and inspiring everybody with your amazing short films. I got into smartphone filmmaking simply because I met Andrea, who put on my feature film which I'd shot on a camcorder, and she showed it in Zurich in a cinema and she did an amazing job. And then she said she wanted to do this festival for films shot on smartphones, and would I like to help out? And so I sort of joined in. I was a little bit skeptical at first about this idea of film festivals in general, and also this sort of why shoot them on smartphones. And so I got involved in that. I helped promote it, and then after a while I shot some films. I decided that I needed to shoot my own films using smartphones, and so I did 5 short films in a kind of series of like little short 10-minute episodes with these kind of sci-fi sort of Black Mirror style ideas. Then after that I came to the decision to start blogging about it, to try and get more traffic to the festival.
I got into mobile filmmaking almost by accident. I was playing around with the iPhone, I think it was iPhone 3 or 4, and thought, hey, maybe I could use this to shoot some B-roll on some corporate jobs, just some insert shots where I didn't have my bigger camera with me at the time. Then the iPhone 4 came out, the 4S, I believe, and it allowed us to shoot in 1080, or maybe getting that confused, 720. At any rate, it was the best quality video at the time, and Filmic Pro had just released where you could shoot 1080 24. And I thought, wow, maybe they're on to something here. And so I used it in some corporate jobs, and then thought, hey, I'm gonna put a video on YouTube about how to do this, how to shoot professional quality video with an iPhone. Again, this was 2011. And from there, it just sort of took off. I should say though that for about the next 6 or 7 years, I didn't really pay attention to it consistently. I did in about 2018, because then I did a 20 short films in 20 days on my YouTube channel. And from then on, I've been uploading every week or every other week, pretty much every week. So it's 2024, almost 2025. So for the last 6 years, I've been consistently following mobile filmmaking and making videos about that with an iPhone.
Hey Rob, Ryan here with your questions for your video. Thanks for having me on your channel. I think when I first started my channel, I was looking at a way to appeal to people like myself who were looking to make a film or get into video production without having to spend a ton of money. I was looking around at buying my first DSLR and realizing that they were super expensive. And then I was like, I have a cell phone in my pocket, so why don't I figure out how to use that first, get good at using my cell phone and figure out how to make my videos look more cinematic or film-like, and then move on from there. So that's really how I started looking into ways that I could create videos and films with my mobile phone. So really it just came from wanting to appeal to a wider audience of people who were in the same boat as I was, looking to make films and videos for as cheap as possible.
The general perception of mobile filmmaking has changed a lot, I think, but not all the way. I actually thought back in, when was that, 2018, when Steven Soderbergh made a couple of movies on a feature film that people would start taking it more seriously, but they really didn't. And then I thought when ProRes came out on the iPhone 13, people would take it more seriously, but they really didn't. I mean, those absolutely helped. People had this idea of an iPhone from 2010, 2012, when it was pretty bad, especially compared to a professional camera. Great for a home video camera, home movie camera, like what most people use it for. But on professional work, it wasn't really there yet, although it was used. I used it. But compared to traditional cameras, but that really has changed a lot in the last couple of years, and in particular with Apple Log. Once you were able to shoot Apple Log and turn off the over sharpening, and then additionally the dynamic tone mapping, it made a big difference for me, and also I think the perception from more traditional filmmakers. In my work, I use a phone as a B camera or as a B-roll camera, and I intercut it with a Blackmagic, with a Sony, with a Red camera, and for me it works great. I get it, it doesn't work great for everybody, but if you want to do insert shots or shots with your phone that are hard to do with a traditional camera, I think it's gaining some ground in that respect, a crash cam. But general acceptance in the professional world, I don't think is there yet, but it is gaining steam.
I'd have to say that I think that the biggest thing that's changed about smartphone filmmaking since back when I started my channel is that people take it for granted now. I don't think people realize how amazing it is that we have such powerful cameras in our pockets most of the time. So I really think that's really the main thing that's changed. It's also a little bit easier to get into smartphone filmmaking because more people are aware of it now, and there's tons of apps. Back when I first started, there was just a couple of apps that you could use to unlock the full potential of your mobile device, but now there are a ton of options, everything from subscription models like Filmmaker Pro to free models like the Blackmagic app. So I just think that the main thing that's changed is just the accessibility has grown even wider as far as, apps are concerned, and that people are taking it for granted. And people don't really seem to realize how special it is that we have such an ease of use when it comes to making videos and films.
Definitely. At our first festival, we had Chris Bergoch to talk about making of Tangerine, and they made that in 2014. And he tells the story himself that everyone was very skeptical. Why are you doing it? And they just ignored that and just went ahead and did it. And it was a big hit at Sundance. But still, there was a lot of skepticism. I think we have these arguments less now. A lot of people were like, why bother with the iPhone? Why bother with the smartphone? You should get a proper camera. Otherwise, you're just wasting, you're wasting your time, really. You're not going to get a professional look. But I had exactly the same arguments when I made my feature film with a camcorder. People who were, friends, and they wanted the film to be a success. But they were like, but, why shoot it on a camcorder? You need to be shooting it on film. You need to get a 16mm camera and, or a 35mm camera and shoot it properly. And I sort of ignored them because I knew that if I tried to make it with a regular film camera, I would never do it, because I'd already been through this experience of the DOP, working on a short film, and insisting that we shot it on film. The whole thing was a disaster. Long story. Anyway, so I was already convinced of the idea that you just go out and shoot a film with whatever you've got. And if it's a camcorder, do it with that. If it's a smartphone, do it with that. And you need to use the camera which is going to enable you to actually make the film. Because a lot of people, with like high-end professional cameras never actually make any movies with them because they're too complicated, and you need to get, you need a bigger rig, you need more crew and all this sort of stuff, and then it just escalates until you end up not doing it. So anyway, I think nowadays the phones have become so almost indistinguishable in some ways from professional cameras, or what you would say is professional camera. I think nowadays they're basically considered a professional camera to the point where it's not even a gimmick anymore. It's not news anymore, really. Yeah, so the recent one was like Danny Boyle is making his latest zombie film, which has like got a massive budget, 75 million or something. And he's shooting on iPhone 15 Pro Max with a huge lens attachment. And it did get a little bit of attention, but it's not like when Soderbergh made his movies. There was a big kind of like, it had a big shock and people were very interested. I think now people are almost like, yeah, well, why not? People have accepted it. So, or whatever smartphone you have, it's just another camera. And everyone's pretty much accepted now that it's no different to any other tool.
Yes, the perception has definitely changed. When I started, people didn't take it very seriously. It was seen as something amateur. Even I didn't think it was something serious 5 years ago. And luckily, I had the chance to be in a mobile filmmaking community in Zurich run by Simon Horrock, shout out to him, which opened my eyes to what was possible and led me to explore more. Now, also with the rise of social media, more people wanted to get into it, sharing their stories and creativity with a wider audience. And that also led to, more advancement in smartphone cameras and accessories. And in today's age, the smartphone is really being respected as a legitimate tool for filmmaking. Especially with the release of the iPhone 15 Pro Max and now the 16 Pro Max and its log capabilities, it's become really useful as a backup camera as well. Even my filmmaking friends see the potential in it and are considering using it as well. And there is a time and place to use a smartphone. It really comes down to the look, the message, and the story you want to convey. But all in all, anybody can start making videos with the camera they have in their pocket.
As far as accessories go for smartphone filmmaking, I'm not really into using gimbals that much. I'm not a big fan of gimbals. So I really enjoy using things like the Beast Grip Pro cage, where I can kind of customize everything and have my mic on there and any accessories that I need to attach to it. And I know that Moment came out with something pretty similar to this, but I would love for Beast Grip to create a cage that has USB and HDMI inputs that connect to your phone so you can have everything in one place and everything running through the cage itself. So I'd really love to see Beast Grip head into that territory, because I really love their products and I think they make the best cages for smartphones, and I just think they can make it even better if they add that functionality to their cages.
There are really two schools of thought when using a phone in a more professional environment, and that is to use it as it is in a very minimalist fashion, just bare bones. And I get that because it's easy to use, it's lightweight, you can really shoot anywhere, you can be very discreet. And then there's the guys who like to trick your phone out with cages and lenses and all that kind of thing. And then there's the DOF adapters, which takes that even another step. And I really like the DOF adapter look, and I really like the idea behind that. I get the point of where if you're going to go that far, just use a traditional camera like a mirrorless camera. But there are advantages and disadvantages to using a phone. And even when you use a DOF adapter on a phone, comparatively, they're still fairly small. They don't get overwhelmed by the size of the rig that you can with a big traditional camera. Now, again, it's apples and oranges. I'm not really comparing those for a camera to shoot with, but as far as an accessory, I do like the DOF adapters. I wish they were easier to use. I wish they were easier to focus. I wish they were smaller. And B-Script is actually working on a new one. They released a short film recently that looked amazing. It uses PL mount lenses, but I don't think they're going to make that available for general public use. It will be a rental item, but it doesn't have a ground glass. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can put a lens, a traditional cinema lens, on a phone and get a much more traditional look with the depth of field, but it also just softens the image in a good way and gives it a more organic look. And so, yeah, I don't use accessories a lot, although right now I'm shooting on my phone. I've got a cage and a mic, and I'm using a wireless mic, obviously. But as far as tricking it out, if I was going to do that, I would like to see more advancement in the DOF adapter world.
I think smartphone gimbals are almost perfect, but I would love to see something that might sound crazy, a gimbal with a built-in SSD like an M2 enclosure in the handle to record ProRes log externally. And it would be great to have a power bank integrated as well, allowing you to power the phone and everything else with just one cable, keeping everything nice and compact. And I believe that the more mobile the setup, the better the shooting experience will be, allowing users like me to focus more on the creative side of things, especially when shooting solo.
No. That's my answer. I'm not really a big, equipment person. I've just ended up making videos about equipment, helping people to understand how to use equipment. When I first got a gimbal for Silent Eye, I didn't know anything about the modes really. I just stuck the phone on, oh, it works, and then off I went, happily filming shots. And as a filmmaker, you don't need all these extra crazy settings and gadgets and stuff. I mean, the less gadgets and accessories that you have, the more likely you are to actually get your film done. You'll be less distractions basically, because especially if you're shooting a short film like a fiction or even a documentary. So the last thing I did was a documentary 35 minutes long, and I shot the whole thing just with an iPhone 12 Pro Max. Handheld, no gimbals, no cages, no cases, no lenses, no filters, and I did use a microphone just for the interview part, but apart from that I didn't need it. I shot things on the train, shot some sort of B-roll of me sitting on a train, for example, and just hold the phone against the back of the seat in front of me to steady it. If you have all these weird bits of kit and stuff, then it just takes up extra time. So personally, contrary to what people think, because obviously I'm now known as the person who explains how to use equipment. So people think that I spend my whole time, if I made a film, they think that I'm going to be surrounded by incredible large amounts of gadgets, which I am now because my house is full of gadgets that people send to me. But if I make my own projects, I'm more likely just to leave them in the house. Maybe a tripod, that's about it.
There are many great filmmakers out there who produce amazing work using an iPhone. One of them is Blake Ritter, I hope I said that right, a British director and writer who also acts in his own films. And I love his approach of just getting out there and creating something. And he has made numerous short films, not only a traditional camera, but also with an iPhone. And throughout that process, his craft has really improved. And one standout piece is his science fiction short titled Cat and Mouse, which truly shows what can be achieved with the device you have in your pocket.
There was actually one that I really liked for the festival, and again, it was just, they used the phone completely, not trying to look like a, a sort of cinematic. They weren't trying to look cinematic, but to me that was why it was a great film, because it was rough and it felt like it was shot just by anybody using the camera. The performances were amazing, and this was like two guys in South America. They just they had a smartphone, and it was about someone with a Tourette's kind of thing, and a family meal. The whole feeling of that film was really natural, and it just gripped me personally. I didn't need the camera to be sort of pretending to be a sort of Coppola movie or something. It just went against all that, and it was like grainy, there was noise, there was zooming in, all the things that you tell people not to do. They kind of did it. So yeah, I'm not, like I say, I'm not a person who cares about the sort of technical side. When I made my feature film on a camcorder, I didn't know what an f-stop was. I didn't know how to use a light, like a film light, so I would just I just went on the principle that if it looks good, then it is good, and created my own aesthetic, like the camcorder aesthetic. I didn't sort of think, oh, I need to make it look like a 16mm camera, or I need to make it look like Arri Alexa or whatever.
My favorite smartphone film to this day still has to be 2018's Unsane from Steven Soderbergh. Fantastic thriller. It's pretty ugly at times, which I think kind of fits the film in a way, because a lot of it takes place in a mental institution. So it really has that gross hospital vibe to it while you're watching it. I just think that adds even more to the film. If you haven't seen it, 2018 Unsane, check it out. Fantastic film shot on, I believe it's an iPhone, but I can't remember which model iPhone it is. Whatever was out in 2018.
My favorite short film shot on a phone is probably one called No Hard Feelings that I first saw at the Filmic Pro contest back in, I don't know, was that 2018, 2019? I forget. I think it was shot on an iPhone XS Max and by some Australian filmmakers named James Ballard and Paul Henry. It's a great little film, man. It was something I did not believe was shot on a phone at the time. They used a DOF adapter, and it just has a very cinematic look. But beyond the look, it's just a great story. And in the end, that's what it really, that's what is important, is the story you're trying to tell. Now, production value does matter, especially today. Everybody's so spoiled. But, shooting with modern phones and using accessories, like a DOF adapter, etc., you can get really good looks where people aren't going to question that it looks cheap or looks bad or looks like a soap opera, shooting now with Apple Log or 24 frames per second, etc. But they didn't have those advantages. I believe they did use Filmic Pro Log. But yeah, it's a great short. If you haven't seen it, it's on my YouTube channel. I did some interviews with those guys, and then I premiered their short on my channel 2 or 3 years ago, I forget. But it's a great short, no hard feelings, shot on an iPhone, and so check it out.
Well, I have got a lot of scripts, like feature film scripts. Maybe I would make that film again, Third Contact, with a proper budget. Or maybe one of the other scripts that I've got. I've got loads, and they're all just sitting on the shelf these days. I've sort of given up the idea of being I think I've done enough zero budget filmmaking for the moment, and but if someone had a budget and came along, I got plenty.
If budget wasn't an issue, I would love to make Into the Wild. It's a story about a young man who leaves everything behind to explore nature and find himself. The beautiful landscapes and the themes of adventure would be amazing to capture. I think using a smartphone for this film would give it a personal touch, making the audience feel closer to the main character's journey. And I would want to focus on the feelings of freedom and discovery, showing how small moments in nature can lead to big changes in life. And since I'm, always out filming, I love just being around nature, I think this would be a great project.
I have a film I've been working on, I've had bouncing around in my head for years now. It's one of the first feature films I've ever written. It's called Hot Date, and it's kind of an over-the-top horror, thriller, kind of comedy horror about an evil female cult who is sacrificing people on Halloween night to the god Aphrodite. Sounds really bonkers because it is. Think like almost trauma kind of film, like over-the-top gore, over-the-top action. It's a mix of Karate Kid meets Evil Dead meets The Void, if you've ever seen that film, kind of an 80s style, super stylistic, over-the-top, colorful action horror film. That's like my dream film that I would love to make, but it would cost so much money to pull it off the way I have envisioned in my head. So I either have to wait to make it until I have unlimited resources or figure out a way to dial everything down a little bit and create it in a minimalistic kind of way.
If I was going to remake a movie, I've always wanted to make a Western. I love old Westerns, especially classic Westerns from the 1950s. And I love Shane. Alan Ladd is so good in that. Just the whole story, it's just a great movie. It was my grandfather's favorite film, and so he passed it down to me, and I really, really love that movie. I also love High Noon with Gary Cooper. Just the style of that film feels like it was really ahead of its time, while Shane is a more classic John Ford type movie. It wasn't John Ford. Who was that? George Stevens directed that, I think. But High Noon just has a really cool look. It's black and white. It's just a great, compelling story. And I would almost like to do maybe a modern version of High Noon, but still in a classical Western style, maybe a noir type Western. But anyway, again, not really a huge fan of remakes, but if I was going to, I think it would be a classic Western.
Please check me out on my YouTube channel at Camp Films. We're all about teaching no-budget filmmaking for beginners and helping you make your films for as little money as possible. Head over to the channel and say hi. We'd love to have you be a part of our community.
So this is coming out on November the 1st. You can get it on Amazon, paperback and ebook. You can actually pre-order the ebook. Smartphone videography, being into advanced, put everything that I could think of into one place. So the chapters are choosing a smartphone for shooting videos, smartphone videography basics, camera app, or a native camera app or third-party app, video quality, lighting, editing. I've gone through the gear actually to explain, when to use it, when not to use it, and what each different thing does. And there's a bit on the film look, and just a little last chapter on being creative and the best ways to go about realizing your vision. Coming out November the 1st, perfectly in time for Christmas.
So thanks again, Rob, for this opportunity. If you're looking to learn how to film quality content on your phone and don't know where to start, my channel has plenty of tutorials to help shorten your learning curve. So feel free to check it out. I really appreciate being here. Wish you guys all the best, and thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm Blake Calhoun, and I run the YouTube channel, The iPhonographers, and I just wanted to say congratulations to Rob on hitting the 10,000 subscriber mark. That's a big milestone. I remember doing that, and the nice thing about that is you feel like you've got that behind you, and now you can just keep moving forward to 100K.
Hey, I'm Susie Botello. I'm the host of the SBP podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. I'm also the founder and director of the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego, and a few other things. Regarding mostly mobile filmmaking, I am your advocate for mobile filmmaking, and I support the filmmakers. So I would never consider myself a smartphone filmmaker, but I do love filmmakers in general. And one of the things that I did back in 2009 was I founded and I launched a film festival, which was an in-person film festival for only, not all mobile devices, but only for mobile phone cameras. Everything else, technically, it didn't even matter. The whole point of it was that you could shoot with the most popular device in the whole world, the most accessible device, and have a fair competition with your phone, making movies, and we would show them to the world. On that note, the SBP podcast Mobile Filmmaking right now, as I'm speaking, in October 2024, we are celebrating the 7th year anniversary of the podcast since I launched it in October 2017. In 2020, by the way, that's 200 episodes now. In 2020, I interviewed Rob, and I found Rob through a little film that he made during the pandemic, a little horror film, and I thought it was done so well. And so I asked Rob to come on the podcast and share his story. And now here you are, Rob. You are a guru with mobile filmmakers. You're inspiring people. Your performances, all those things are quite exceptional. I don't consider myself a smartphone filmmaker, although I've been involved in the video production and in films myself, including feature films, not just short films, for many years, even up to the point to where I launched the film festival. I was just coming back from Big Bear Mountain and, helping as a production coordinator for a feature film that was shot up there. One of the things that I would say to you is that, to be honest, from my heart, and I'm not selling you anything other than you, yourself, and your confidence, your abilities. And what I would tell you is that no matter what gear you are presented with, all that matters is that you feel comfortable with it, that you can grab and go, basically, that you have an ability to feel so comfortable with whatever it is that you're using to tell your stories, that all you have to worry about and all you have to focus on is filmmaking, turning that story to life as a film, a captivating and memorable film. So if you can do that, you've got the best gear in the world. And it doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter, what it looks like. As long as you feel comfortable and you like the results and you concentrate on you behind the camera and everything else there is to it, good audio, lighting, the storytelling part, the cinematography. Let me tell you why you should tell people, hey, I shot this film with a phone. Because you inspire people. You inspire people who only dream to make films, to tell that, their own stories with their smartphones. I do like to share the message. I'm an advocate for mobile filmmaking. And if you'd like to reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you as well. Anyways, Rob, I just want to congratulate you. And I hope that I see you again soon at my podcast, sbppodcast.studio or sbppodcast.com and internationalmobilefilmfestival.com. And my name is Susie Botello. Susy is how you spell my first name. And I can't wait to meet you. And again, Rob, big hug from me. Congratulations.
Thank you so much to all of these smartphone filmmakers and festival makers who have actually given so much of their time to this video out of their own busy schedule, so I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, guys, you want to see more of this kind of content, then do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments down below what your most interesting finding was on this video. See you on the next one, take care, bye bye.